All right, guys, I'll be here next to you guys.
Yep.
Good luck. Best of luck for everyone. Let's hope it doesn't rain halfway through.
I think we're done with the rain till Friday.
No, that's not.
Okay. And why is it going to be heavy again then?
Yeah.
Well, it calls for like 80%, but I mean, who knows how heavy, you know?
It's still like the roads going the other way are still very flooded.
I saw
If
that.
you go away from the
Yeah.
hotel, because that's the way that driver brought us. He went the other way first to turn back round, and they actually have cops
On the big road, you mean?
Yeah, so instead of turning left as you would do if you walked, you turn right. And like we were driving through floods, there are cops there like with water up to their knees, standing in the middle of the water, trying to.
I'm surprised they didn't take you to back, like around the back, you know? You know how the back you can go?
Gave you a day off yesterday and you're late, but then to be fair, I said the clock for the right time.
Yeah, a little bit of sunshine later. And, oh, no, look. Thursday, now Friday sun. And not till Saturday, so that's good. It's going to be hot, but...
Yep. Has that ever happened at any event you've ever been at, that a whole day's play is just...
Oh, yeah.
For like what reasons?
Almost 2 days play.
And why was it?
The year I won the US Open,
All right.
Hurricane Isabel came.
Okay. Oh, we got to get this in.
Yeah, second or third day, and then we had to take a day off or so, day and a half off, almost 2 days, and then we finished the tournament. So, yeah.
But did the tournament finish on time?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, we had to play late and all that, you know. But
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, I was prepared for hurricanes because of where I'm from.
Yeah.
So I knew it was coming. So I went and got water and bread. And all the pool players ended up at our room because we had candles and we had playing cards and there was no electricity for almost 2 days. Yeah. So we were all shocked. Everyone started coming to our room because we had food and we had water. We had
1 minute to
everything.
air.
Oh, that's a brilliant story.
Yeah, crazy.
Oh yeah, we got to get that story in.
Yeah, Hurricane Isabel.
Before we get on air, what's your order of a drink when I go and do a coffee run?
To be honest, I can't have too much water. The more water, the better.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah, but I know you got special. We used to get a special drink here last year.
Yeah.
And I can't find it, what it was. Remember we used to get that juice drink?
It was a juice, right?
Yeah, I can't, that mango type.
Mango. Yeah.
Oh, something like that
And
would
the
be
little
great,
box-
actually.
and
Yeah.
the little box thing, the little square thing, right? Wasn't it in a little like paper square thing?
No, it was from Starbucks, wasn't it? Remember? Remember we got them in...
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I might surprise
Something
you,
like
mate.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Anything fruity and
Yeah.
cold. Yeah.
Guys,
anything.
10 seconds to wait. Should I done them there? I'll tell Marcel to be right there.
This is Hanoi, the pool-mad capital city of Vietnam. After local floods ruled out any play on what should have been day one, we're ready to go in Asia's major. It's finally time for the Hanoi Open.
The World 9 Ball Tour come to Vietnam. We did not have a clue what we was letting ourselves in for.
It will be victorious in Vietnam.
Here we go.
The crowd in Hanoi whipped into a frenzy. Magnificent!
Oh my word!
If you don't like noise, cover your ears.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, extraordinary scenes on the opening day. Floods all around the venue, so no play at all was possible. And today it's time to start playing catch-up, and that's why we have the early start. And we begin, as we always should really, with the defending champion, Johan Chua, taking on the experienced Ivica Putnik from Croatia. Aloysius Yap, the undisputed man of the year so far in 2025, will be next on, followed by a former winner of this title, Jason Shaw. So that's on the TV table. On table 1, Long Duc Tien, one of the fine players from the host nation, will be getting things started there. Then Fedor Gorst, player of the year last year without question. More of a nearly man so far in 25, but he'll still be one of the big favourites going into this. And then 2 of the Vietnamese players, including Nguyen Tan, one of the very best, third up on table 1. And over on table 2, Skylar Woodward, the American star. When's he finally going to win one of these tournaments? He starts out his campaign. And then a couple of young players of real promise. AJ Manis will be next up, followed by Estonia's Karl Nadeberg. So that's what's coming up in the early stages on the main tables. TV table and table 1, both on WNT TV. And you can go to Matchroom's YouTube channel if you want to see the action on table 2. And so, a day later than planned, we're ready to go in the Hanoi Open. We're starting an hour and a half earlier than scheduled. As I say, we're trying to play catch up today, and the organiser is very confident that we'll get everything done in time to finish on Sunday evening. And also to help things along, the practice tables are all being commandeered for use as part of the tournament itself, so 32 tables in action simultaneously. Now, Jeremy Jones alongside me. And Jeremy, first of all, congratulations on being named captain for the Reyes Cup next week. Did that come as any sort of surprise to you?
I was a big surprise when I got that call from Emily Frazier, and you know, when she does call, I always answer, but I was very shocked with that. Very honored, of course, and very excited to not only have Hanoi get finally kicked off after, you know, a day delay yesterday, but it's going to have a lot of impact on what happens next week, I think, for both the teams.
Yeah, massive few weeks coming up. We've got this Hanoi Open, such an established event now, in only its 3rd year, but already something everyone in the game looks forward to. Then the second Reyes Cup in Manila next week, and then the Philippines Open to round off 3 weeks of world-class 9-ball pool here in Asia. So Ivica Putnik is the opening opposition for the holder of this title. Someone you played very recently. You had a hill against him at the US Open.
Yeah, that's right. A very solid player for a long time, a guy from Croatia that you can't overlook. Probably one of the tougher draws we've seen for a defending champion on the World 9-Ball Tour, but Johan Chua knows what he's got to do, and I'm sure he's ready.
I'm just looking at Putnik thinking, Jeremy, when you were playing him, anyone wandering over to have a look, might have had to do a few takes to figure out which of you was which. He looks remarkably like you.
Yeah, well, he's a guy that had some time off in his career, but back the last few years, probably playing as well as he ever has, to be fair. And again, someone that can't get overlooked.
So we're off and running. It's a race to 9 for a place in the next round. Johan Chua will again be one of the favourites going in, world number 4, 33 years of age now.
Of course, unfortunate yesterday with the weather and something you can't control, but kind of wonder how it affected each player trying to prepare for this event. Having to move it back a day, maybe change the times of the matches a bit, but a lot of work done by the Matchroom crew trying to, you know, reschedule everything and make sure everything's right moving forward.
Yeah, and normally if you've got downtime at a tournament, the obvious thing to do is practice, but of course the venue was closed completely, so there wasn't even the chance to do that yesterday.
Yeah, and you know, the conditions are going to be tough here this week. It's always very sticky here in Southeast Asia, and you know, of course, our opener, you saw the stands were kind of empty at the moment, but we all know about this Hanoi Open, and that will not remain, so this arena is going to be a difficult one to play in. Always tight pockets here on the World 9-Ball Tour, and an unexpected miss there on the 2-ball.
Yeah, and with someone like Chua, there obviously won't be many unexpected misses, you wouldn't think. So, if Putnick is to have any chance, he's going to have to make them count.
Yeah, if we know anything about Johan Chua, and most of us do, there's usually going to be more unexpected makes than there are unexpected misses, just with the shot and the firepower that he has.
We certainly saw that in the World Cup in Spain a couple of years ago. He was part of the Philippines team that won it, and so many memorable moments on the table that week.
Yeah, beautiful kick shot on the soft side there from Johan Chua. Looks like the 5.9's a problem, so there's a little protection here moving forward for both players. The safeties don't have to be totally on point, even though that one was pretty nice.
It was such a great run for Chua in this particular fortnight last year. Had his win here in Hanoi and then back to his home country and was part of the winning Asian team in the inaugural Reyes Cup.
You can see even on day one, opening rack on the TV table, you know, that ball should have hung, but it didn't really even threaten pocketing the ball on the bank with the jump cue. These tables again are going to play very difficult moving through the week.
By no means a newcomer. He'll be 53 next month.
Well, that little bump from the brown 7, that line the 5.9 up for the lower left corner makes the 4-ball a big shot. I don't know if he'll attack here or not. He may just bang this ball around the table. Not a whole lot on the 5.
Talked about conditions there, Jeremy, and everything that goes on in the atmosphere with the weather. It all affects these things. So in what way will the huge amount of rainfall over the last couple of days affect the conditions, do you think, in these early days?
Well, it's going to probably slow the bed down a little bit, liven the rails, which always tightens the pockets. And what I always say about these types of tournaments, you know, for the most part, I mean, the tables are going to play nice either way, but they're not going to play easy. So you have to get in that mode of saying to yourself, I'm not going to play perfect position all week. I can't stress over that. I got to sit there and make a little bit more work at time to time, maybe make a little bit tougher ball here and there, and just try and stay positive. It's not going to be easy, no matter who you are. Good luck hitting this one.
Yeah, no wonder Putnick scratching his head as he arrives at the table.
Can't really tie anything else up, trying to prolong the game and just surrender ball in hand. I tell you, Johan can do a lot of the same here. Just edge the purple 5 and go by the 8, back on the 8. Always talk about 9-ball pool being such a mental game, and I really believe maybe one of the most mental sports on earth. But when the conditions get like this, it seems doubly tough between the ears. Still not easy, but you can see at least an opening to kick at this purple 5 compared to his last inning at the table. I think what we're seeing in the opening rack here is going to tell a lot of the story about the week, Michael. I think we're going to see a lot of safety play. I think we're going to see a true grind here in Hanoi, with the tables always tough and the conditions maybe even tougher.
So ball in hand, given up. I would expect Chua to see out the rack from here.
Yeah, he's got no hair odd. The 8 doesn't pass the 9, so is it going to be a combination to get the first rack?
You said, Jeremy, it's a tough draw for Chua, and in fact on his way to the title last year, his closest matches actually did come in the earlier part of the week. Later on he was generally winning fairly convincingly. So it's taken a while, it's been a bit patchy. But in the end, Johan Chua has got there. He's won the opening rack in defence of his Hanoi Open title. So, unusual situation yesterday, Jeremy, with no play at all, but something that you've experienced actually a number of times on your travels around the world over the years, including on your way to the US Open title 22 years ago.
Yeah, it's funny. In 2003, there was a hurricane out on the coast, and it was expected to hit Norfolk. That's when we played right there in Virginia Beach, and I think it was day 2 it hit, maybe, Hurricane Isabel, and we lost all power in the whole area. It was almost 2 days without power, and the tournament was suspended, and then talked about maybe even canceling and rescheduling. And thank God they didn't, of course, but we went on to play. A couple days later, had to redo the schedule, rearrange a few things, and got it done. But it was a circumstance like no other, really.
But you were the best prepared of all for that eventuality, weren't you?
Yeah. Of course, from Baytown, Texas, I was raised in the hurricanes, and from a young kid, I've known how to do things to prepare for it. And me and who was the eventual next champion, Gabe Owen, were rooming together, and we went out early and got water and food and rations and candles and just everything else you want to think about, batteries, playing cards, to have something to do. And after about half a day of no one else having anything, a lot of the pool players started to migrate towards our room just so they had something to do, some food to eat.
Of course, a lot of people wouldn't have let on that they had anything in the room, just to make sure that they got to keep it to themselves. But you're much too kind a man to do that, Jeremy. So this time Chua did make the one in the side, which he failed to do in the opening rack. And what's happened here?
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. I saw it a little bit in game 1. I think the tables are going to play a little sluggish, until we get some of this drier weather.
But to what extent do you feel the players will be able to adjust to that?
Oh, they do it beautifully, and understand that, maybe you're not going to be able to play as great a position as you normally can, so you'll start to simplify things, maybe take a little more distance, maybe consider an odd safety that you would normally attack. I'm just wondering how the pockets, that's the one that I'm really wanting to see, a couple shots go down the rail, see how they react at the pocket. One thing for Johan, though, of course, these great players always want good position, but he's not afraid to take on a little more distance or a little bit more of a shot. Where some players, it tends to bother them a little more if they're out of line with the cue ball. I think Putnick, through the years, he didn't get enough credit for how well he played, just because he always appears like he's scrappy, like just kind of barely getting the position here, maybe kind of wobbling a ball in there, here and there, and he's a very solid player. all things considered, I think, of course, the local crew working in Matchroom, they've done a wonderful job to get this tournament really going.
Yeah, well, the news came through early yesterday that play was going to be delayed for a while. Then it emerged that we basically weren't going to have any play on day one. And then there was actually a period when it looked as though things had eased sufficiently for us to get in here yesterday and get a couple of matches done. But I think the right decision was made not to risk it, because, of course, there was a lot more rain in the evening. We would all have been stuck in here. And this time you didn't bring provisions, Jeremy, not like 2003. So I think it was the right call, and we're ready to go now. Plenty of time to catch up in the schedule.
Yeah, nice position play there. Yeah, and yesterday there were talks, of course, being a little more lenient with times and whatnot, how people could get to the venue. So I think overall, not trying to just get a few in and not knowing who could make it and who couldn't make it. I think it was a good call just to start the event here.
So Chua has made a couple of errors early on. He's taken care of business. Johan Chua leads Ivica Putnik 2-0 in the first round of the Hanoi Open. Yeah, it would be fair to say, at the very least, that the Hanoi Open win did not come out of the blue by any means. There was such a lead up to it for Chua. Throughout 2024, he was doing so well in so many of the big events, including getting to the semi-finals of the World Championship, got to the final of the European Open, so he was getting closer and closer all along. And you can never say, oh, someone's definitely going to win something soon, but Chua did arrive here in Vietnam last year, very much looking like a player who was on the brink of something very big.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Fedor Gorst, right, he wins Player of the Year, I think, pretty easily.
Yeah, as much as Gorst was an obvious #1 player of 2024, Chua was just as much, obviously, the best of the rest. He also won a couple of smaller ranking events in the course of last year, and he's won a couple this year as well. And he's also won the first couple of racks in this match.
Yeah, I mean, he's made the one, but the break has been a little here and there so far. That was a thin hit on the one ball. Great look at the blue, too, with a nice spread, the best of the match so far. A couple Americans in action in the 9:30 round. Skylar Woodward and Billy Thorpe, who had a great Perry Open, both making the final 8 there.
Yeah, just as you say that, Billy Thorpe has won the third rack to go 2-1 up on Sai Cheng Ta. Of course, this is a new challenge for you, Jeremy. I'm always amazed by your ability to keep an eye on what's going on several tables at once. But of course, we've got 32 tables in action now. The practice tables have been commandeered for it, and they're behind us, but you'll still find a way of following what's going on.
All right, wanting good speed here so he doesn't have to do anything but go forward. And he looks perfect. And again, earlier this year at a few events we had, the break and run bonuses and whatnot. And I think it was Robbie Capito that had 5 at the World Championships. But 3-0, 4-0 leads in this event, I think, are going to be huge, huge leads and very, very hard to make comebacks without some help from your opponent, that being.
Yeah, and it looks as though we're going to get the first break and run. Main table in this Hanoi Open.
Now, if you're comfortable, you probably follow this, but he may draw it instead. He's going to land near the side cushion. A little distance on the 9, one you have to pay attention to.
as I said, a couple of early errors, but Johan Chua truly settled into the match now. He's had his first break and run. All of a sudden, he's got a big lead. 3-0 now against Ivica Putnik. Moritz Neuhausen, who's had some success already on this trip at the Hanoi Open just a few days ago. 4-0 up against Ding Van Look. And I believe this is the winning moment for Johan Chua last year. 13-7 in the final against Ko Pin-Yi. Doesn't tell the full story though, because Ko really put it up to him around about the middle of the match before Chua finished strongly.
Yeah, I think it was Ko Pin-Yi, just the start he had, getting behind and then starting to settle in, but it was going to be Johan Chua all the way, it seemed.
Really already is nothing quite like the atmosphere that you get on the final night of the Hanoi Open. The place is absolutely packed with thousands of fans in here, and it's the sort of arena that really lends itself to creating a spectacular atmosphere. Great success of 2023. We all came back here last year saying, well, will it be the same? Will we be able to build on it? We certainly were. It was another spectacular week, and nobody felt that more than Johan Chua, who walked off with the title. So, looking a little more comfortable rack by rack so far. Chua already 3-0.
Yeah, much more of the break shot he wants to see. Two's going to come open. A difficult shot on the blue two from some distance, and it's got to work the cue ball, but I think he's happy to have that break. He hasn't had a good one yet, really.
Off target there. And chance for Putnik to really get involved in this. Didn't capitalise to the full on the errors that Chua made early on. Needs to start doing it soon, or this one could get away from him pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely his first opening. A little bit tricky, even though it seems right in front of him. He's got to put some speed on this to get out. The 3 doesn't pass the green 6. Maybe play for the upper left. Maybe get out for the right middle. It's funny, he takes his extension, but really doesn't get up off the ball.
Not good signs for Putnik.
No, definitely hit that wide, and that's why I was saying it was a little tricky. It wasn't easy to hold underneath the 3, and it wasn't easy to get out for the 3 in the right middle. But that's kind of what I mean. You have to get in that make ball mode no matter what, and just take what you get on position sometimes.
Chua is starting to look very relaxed now. Really wasn't having a good year, was he, in the Matchroom big field events, although he had been to the semi-finals of the Premier League, but when it came to, as I say, the big field Matchroom tournaments, he was going out early in all of them until he got to the US Open and had that good run there. What did you make of him in Atlantic City?
I mean, you know, it's tough fields out there. It's not easy sledding for any of these guys. I mean, sometimes they play so well for so long, you just think it's automatic, but you're just going to have little ups and downs during the season. That's why a year like last year is so amazing for a guy like him or Federgorst to just continually dominate. You can't always win, but you can still call it domination.
Yeah, got to the semi-finals of the US Open, lost to Federgorst, and had an unexpected defeat at the European Open against Edward Koyongian. But you look at the other events where he was going out early on, was Anton Raga, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, players who obviously would always have been expected of being capable to beat him. So it wasn't like he was going down to a series of unexpected reversals, but back on form in terms of the standout events at the US Open, carrying that through to here. In terms of the scoreline, if nothing else, Putnick did have a chance there, but bad miss for him. Now, what do you think all this is about?
Haven't a clue, to be honest with you. You know, I'm not sure if it's something to do with that timeout, you know, that extension he called kind of when he was down on the ball, maybe.
Yeah, well, the hand gesticulations there would suggest that. It's Ben Taylor Fuente, one of the senior referees he's discussing it all with. Whatever it is, it's hard to think of anything that could be making him this upset.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've known him a long time, and, you know, through the years, he's had little confrontations here and there, not only with referees, but with players. And, you know, I think since he's come back, you know, we're both up in our 50s, right? And I think things have calmed down overall, but when that competitive blood starts flowing, you never know what's going to come out. And Johan, if you notice the way he cleaned up those last few balls, it's almost like he was a little perturbed about something as well, and that may have been something he fed off his opponent. Could be as easy as Johan wasn't too happy with the open 2 ball he missed in the last rack. That, you know, that could be as easy as what it is for Johan, but when it comes to Putnick, who knows?
And you picked up on it. He sort of half got up to call the timeout, and then didn't really seem to set himself up properly again to the shot. I've seen him a number of times, Putnick, in the World Cup of Pool, which Croatia have been in 11 times. They've usually gone out in the first round. They've only made the last 16 twice, and he was involved in both of those, so that's perhaps where he's made his name the most.
Yeah, he's definitely a little irritated at the moment. Probably as much with himself as anything else, but we're going near the 9 here with the cue ball.
He played with Filip Stojanovic for Croatia in those 2 World Cups when they managed to get past the first round. Beat Russia all the way back in 2007, then lost to the Philippines in round 2. But a fine win the next year against Spain, including David Al-Qaedi, Hill in the first round. And then the second round, Croatia team with Putnick on it played the USA, Rodney Morris and Shane Van Bonen, and pushed them to 8-5. The Americans went on to win the title for what remains the only time. But heady days like that, perhaps seeming a distant memory with some of the shots he's playing at the moment.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure you know types, but he's still like kind of pointing in that direction like there's a problem, but he's got to regroup, that's for sure. But you know those types of players that are just odd in many ways, maybe not traditional cueing. Like him, he kind of settles his back arm, moving it around a little bit, stays down on the ball a long time, plays a lot of different types of shots at times. So sometimes you may think that's something that adds up for certain conditions, but you still got to knock the balls in.
Did I misread that, or was he trying to hurry Chua out of the way there?
I don't know exactly what was going on. Is that going to be enough speed? The cue ball's going to get open, so he's way off. He's still looking back at the time referee every time he has a mistake or leaves the table.
He's just boiling over here, isn't he? And if he's to have any chance of even making this respectable, he's got to get his head together. But sometimes, no matter what the level, you get to a point where your head's already gone and you just can't get it out of there.
Yeah, well, I mean, not only a very difficult arena as far as conditions and everything, that'll add on to any frustration. So if you're already on edge a little bit, it's going to topple over. I like just going straight up and down in between the 6-7 here. He's trying to make the 9. I swear I feel a little frustration from Johan as well. Maybe that's, again, something from his opponent.
starting to look a bit relaxed, like he was settling into the match, but you're absolutely right. Chua seems to have gone off the boil again a bit mentally. Not on the same level, though, at all.
Great shot there, and to be able to hold the speed to get pretty good here on this 5-9 combination, or at least what I think is a 5-9 combination. Could be a kiss shot.
Well, he's had to wait a day longer than expected to start his defense of this Hanoi Open title. He's in a real rush this morning. He's raced through these first 5 racks, not at his absolute best by any means, but he's won them all. He's already more than halfway to victory. Ivica Putnik talking to himself in his chair, not saying good words, you would imagine. This is really falling apart for him. So a quick look at what's going on elsewhere. Marvin Assis is already just 3 away from victory. The Philippines player leads Britain's Alexander O'Donoghue by 6 racks to 0. Tyler Steyer has won the first couple of racks against Wen Can Huang. Moritz Neuhausen now 6-0 up Din Van Luc. Michael Feliciano, useful player from the Philippines, leading 4-2 over Tran Van Kien. And Billy Thorpe going well, leading 4-1 over Sai Cheng Ta. Thorpe, who made his return to the Mosconi Cup team late last year in Orlando. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz also cruising at the moment. Former world champion is a 5-0 lead against Bui Trung Nguyen. And they're the big stories going on at the moment. On the main table, it's all about the reigning champ. For the first time since rack 1, he's not made the 1 off the break in the side.
And Putnick's got to start to think about the future here and start to settle himself. Maybe, you never know on these matches. It is 9-ball pool, and he's capable. He's just got to start to get a groove in, and it is a double elimination event. So put some confidence in whether you lose this match or not. That'll really serve some purpose moving forward.
Yeah, he had a chance to get going in the previous rack because, of course, he could have had that 5-9 combo if he'd made the shot to set it up. Missed, and the chance passed to Chua. So Putnik is at the table here, still looking for his first rack. Been around a long time. He's been playing in notable events and winning matches in them for about 25 years now. Started making an impact on the big events like the World Championship and the US Open around about the mid-2000s. He's been a multiple quarter-finalist in some of the decent quality pro events that go on around Europe every year. Made single elimination at the World Championship just after we'd returned from the COVID shutdown. Beat Petri Mäkinen along the way, actually. So plenty of history there.
And he's going to need to avoid the 7. Actually, the clip on the 7 may have been somewhat helpful. A little bit of an odd shot here. Kind of sits between. Can he kill the ball coming across? Slide in, but maybe just, and he's got to get into the cue ball a bit. So anytime he's had to do that, that's when he's had the misses.
Getting to the point where you wondered, was he completely gone in this match, Putnik? He was absolutely boiling over. He seems to have got his head together sufficiently to start playing in this one. And this 9 will be to get his first rack on the board.
Extension ball.
Chua's first dry break gave Putnik the chance, and the 52-year-old from Croatia did the rest, so he has finally opened his account. Chua's lead trimmed ever so slightly to 5-1. That means we're going to see the break of Putnik for the first time in rack 7. Anything that you would have picked up from that match you played against him at the US Open, Jeremy, in terms of Putnik and how he breaks the balls?
Breaks the balls pretty well, not the most power all the time, but I mean, there's a lot of different breaks with this, 9 on the spot with the cut breaks, so expect him to break the balls all right. Of course, it's going to be his first break of the match, so that's always the most difficult, it seems. Easy to get a little quick with the stroke.
Yeah, we saw there again the break of Chua.
A little shocked this ball fell, even though it's day 1.
Okay, so we'll see, particularly if he gets a chance off the break here. Has settled down, was really losing his way mentally just a few minutes ago. Composed himself for a good effort there in rack 6. At the very least, when you're out on the main table, it's not somewhere you've been very often. Give a good showing. And he wasn't really doing that until that previous rack. Off and running now, still a long road back from here. He's 5-1 down. Let's have our first look at his break.
Like he hit the one that poorly, but one did go a little high. Big grouping on the lower right end, so even with an open shot, going to be a difficult clearance for Johan Chua or any player that gets to the table with the chance. And the one didn't hit that high, actually, caught both jaws, so pretty on point with the break. It seems like, I don't know what it is, if the timing's not just right, or if you don't have that extra power, you tend to get a few more kisses near the rack and a lot more congestion on the bottom end. Now Chua's going to come across, I think, looking for a gap for the 4-8 combo, maybe. Trying to fall between the 6-9. Is he going 3 rails for short side? Wow. Yeah, I don't think these pockets are going to be easy for any of these type of hyper-aggressive shots. This isn't going to be his best. He may get fortunate with the snooker, but that wasn't by design, and I don't think he got there. Played the head there a little bit, like he was trying to play the 3 in the side, so that may not have been much of a fluke there as we may have thought. Kiss shot off the 5-8 after he pockets the 4, could come up with a combo. He wanted to set up for the cross corner bank, but I don't know if the bank really holds shape on the 6, so decided to play the kiss. Pretty crafty with the cue ball.
Extension call.
have been some inventiveness required at this visit to the table. The job's still not done here.
No, I mean, 5-2 is a very common score. Wants it to be 6-1, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was saying job not done yet. An informed Chua, you would have backed him to make that 6-ball all day, but he's missed a lot of balls in this match. Some of them a good deal less challenging than that one.
Yeah, and what I meant by a common score, of course, 4-3 is the closest you can have it after 7 games. But a lot of matches go 5-2 with, you know, even when it's kind of a dead heat match between the two and before they start. So, huge game here for Putnick and Chua both. That's a little light. Not going to be happy there. Now we'll see. Chua may simplify things here. I don't know if he spins this in or maybe just runs one rail into the 9 or 7. I mean, you don't want to really bump balls. Pocketing this 6 at the moment, most important. See how he's getting down on the ball so quickly, Michael? I think there's definitely some frustration here.
Ball. Not sure it had entirely come to rest when he started to set himself up from the shot. For the shot, rather. Well, as we keep saying, he's well below his best, but he's getting the job done, and he's 5 clear once again. Putnick did have the break in that rack, came up dry. Chua has ended up winning it, so he now leads 6-1. As I said, took a while to really get going here last year. His closest matches were early on. Closest of all was as early as the 2nd round against Ta Van Lin of Vietnam. Big favourite Chua in that match, but he only won it 9-7. John Del Maison in the first match of single elimination. So we look at Putnick's break again. Pushed him to 10-7, and really after that it was comfortable enough. All the way to the title after that. Cledio Caci perhaps ran him closest of all in the later rounds, but even that was only 10-6. It's a long road to the title, Jeremy, and with players of Chua's quality and experience, you can't read a great deal into early performances, I guess.
No, not at all. And again, you know, it's not anything too alarming. The way he's addressing the ball quickly and whatnot, he's probably a little upset at himself with a few of the misses, so he's going to push forward.
Came up dry for the first time in the match with his last break. And history is going to repeat itself here.
Touchy here, trying to drop behind the 6. That was never going to be easy. Looks like he's going to attack. Needs a little bump on the 7 or the 2, I believe.
News of a couple of winners. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has beaten Bui Trung Nguyen by 9 racks to 0. And also a whitewash victory for Moritz Neuhausen, who's come here on a high after his success last week. 9-0 against Din Van Look.
Yeah, quick winner here with ball in hand. That's what he's setting up for. Pretty weak kick there to hit the ball coming in, losing the cue ball in the corner, and a 1-9 combo for Chua.
Yeah, came up dry for the 2nd time in a row off the break. He's ended up winning the rack, and he's done so very early. The 1-9 combination stretches Chua's lead to 7-1 now over a very frustrated looking Ivica Putnick.
Well, Michael, we usually talk about it. Anyone you like to win the tournament? I know this is a day delayed. Only our first match, but anyone you got your eyes on?
We've had an extra day to think about it, I guess. Yeah. See, I never like to go for the obvious names because where's the credit in that? You know? So,
Yeah.
so give me a little time to think about it. What about you? You got anyone in mind? It's going to be an American. It always is with you.
Not always. Not always.
Only when I ban you from picking an American.
Yeah, right. But one I don't pick very often, even though I should. And not saying I don't, but I haven't picked as much as others. I think I'm going to go with Mr. Gorst this week. I think it's time for him to win right here in Vietnam. He did win the Perry one year, of course.
Yeah, he had to pull out of the event last year in the middle of the match. He had issues, wasn't feeling well with the conditions. There was no controversy or petulance or anything about it. He just simply wasn't well. Another American, Skylar Woodward, is going well, 7-2 against Chawatwit Konnudi of Thailand. Back here, it's 3 in a row now. The break has come up with nothing for Chua.
Yeah, and the one has been close for both players when they missed it, but you can certainly tell the difference in the opening of the rack, I believe, when they've missed it. Not quite as good as spreads, but difficult 3-ball covered up. It's not so hard to get position on the 3, but getting some kind of position on the 3 to get to the 4, which is on the left side, with the red 3 being on the right. His best stroke of the match there. Very clean with the delivery. He's got a rail first that'll get him across. Pretty good. He's got to show us another though. Jacking up here. Don't see the future in that. I mean, he is down 7-1, so maybe he shows us a TV shot. This is smarter play, even though it doesn't offer as much position, but you got to stay at the table.
Horrible feeling, isn't it? Getting the chance to go out there, play the opening match against the defending champion on the main table, chance to show the world what you can do. Really, from an early stage, you could see mentally he was losing his way. It's really continued that way throughout the contest.
Yeah, especially a player that's capable. I mean, he's obviously not top 30 in the world or anything like that, and stretch from it, but a guy that can put some pressure on you if he gets going, and has made some of the nicest shots of the match for himself here in this rack to open, but then missed the easy 5-ball down the rail. Chua just a couple chip shots away from getting to the hill. Curious though, I mean, I don't really want to bother a player like Chua, of course, trying to win the event, even though it's early stages, but I'm still kind of curious where the frustration set in for him. Putnick, you know, I kind of feel like anything may have happened really, but Chua is a pretty cool customer.
Well, this one just needs to be taken care of a bit. That's one way to take care of a ball. Absolutely hammered that in. So Johan Chua has now won 3 in a row, and he leads Ivica Putnick 8-1. So getting back to picks for the title, I mean, you know, obviously Yap is in that place that Gorst was in last year. It's like, well, how can you tip against someone who's been in such amazingly consistent form. You look at Neuhausen after what he did last week. But you know what? There's no point picking the big names, so I'm going to go for someone who's done well in a lot of these events over the last few years and who I could see winning one of them at some point. And the biggest recommendation of all for him is that you were talking about him as someone of promise long before he'd done anything in these events. So just to go
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, go on then.
Go ahead. Pseudo?
No, Labutus.
Oh, Labutus.
Someone
okay.
you talked about for a long time before he'd really done very much. And he's done well in a number of these events now, including this year. He's just waiting for that breakthrough. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him do similar to what Mickey Kraus did when he won his first big title last year. And look, there's no glory in saying Yap or Gorst or anything like that and being right about it. So let's go for Labutus. I know you've picked Gorst, and I can understand why. But yeah, so that's who I'll hang my hat on.
You almost feel like if Labutus makes another one of those deep runs like he has, that he almost deserves it, because he really could have got that title a couple times. Got beat a couple matches where it looked like he was the better player, and the 9-ball gods just didn't allow things to go his way. But yeah, very steady, solid guy, and that has a lot of confidence.
Yeah, a lot of credit I think needs to go to him for the fact that he's come and achieved what he has from a country where there's really very little in terms of strong pool opposition. Small country, Lithuania. Anyway, that's something to keep an eye on. Back here, Johan Chua just wants to get this done now.
Yeah, maybe a trick shot coming here on the 9. Definitely will attack here on the bank. 6 is kind of a big ball. Maybe go into the 6 with the cue ball.
Okay, well, he got his chance in rack 7 and composed himself well to take it.
Okay, he's got to pay attention here. The 8 doesn't pass the 9, so getting on the 7 in a particular manner does have a lot of importance. Gonna get a little odd. Nothing too natural, I don't think, to get short side on the 8. Just gonna play for the combination. Probably pretty smart. Maybe it sneaks by on day 1, using the side rail a little bit.
Lost all of the first 5. He's won 2 of the next 5, and Ivica Putnik maintains the resistance just a touch longer. He now trails 8-2. Skylar Woodward now 7-3 up on Chawinwit Karnadi of Thailand. And elsewhere, we've got Long Duc Tien, one of the leading players from the host nation, leading 4-2 over Joan Kapali Samia of the Philippines. Billy Thorpe now just 1 in front against Sai Cheng Ta, that's 5-4. Michael Feliciano of the Philippines has a 6-3 lead over Tran Van Kien. Fitan Haradinaj representing Kosovo, leading 5-3 over Chang Pei Wei. Slow going on table 6, Tyler Steyer, only 4 racks in against Wen Kan Huang, but Steyer has won 3 of those 4. And that brings you pretty much up to date. So Putnik hasn't won 2 in a row at any stage. That's the target in this rack. His only previous break, he made nothing. Didn't make the 1 this time, but he has made something. Oh, and the 1's found another pocket to drop into.
Yeah, he's dressed up on the 2 ball, right on top of it, so you're going to see him elevate the cue, trying to kind of draw masse the cue ball back for the pink 4.
See on the replay there was just no distance to speak of between the balls.
Good control of the object ball, trying to put the cue ball behind the purple as well. That got away, but he controlled the pink nicely. Kind of like the kick to the side rail a little more. I think that offers a few more options on safety than the bottom cushion. The bottom cushion is your normal play, but I hit this beautifully. Really nice. Going for the short cue. Not much of an underdog here, Michael. The type of jump shot the players like. Little bit of a cut, not too much. Of course, the ball near the pocket.
Perhaps left the table, Putnik wondering if he may have played his last shot. Chua's own frustrations continue there with the missed 4.
9-ball pool, you have to either pocket a ball after contact or drive a ball to the rail. Did feather the pink floor, no cushion after contact.
So the chance to win back-to-back racks for the first time in the match.
Yeah, he's overran this a bit. He's going to have to come across. Don't think the 7 passes to the lower left, so wouldn't say very much of a problem. Just got to pay attention.
Might end up being the sort of scoreline that gives the appearance of it having been a no contest, but chance to get back to 8-3 here, and you think of a couple of racks that maybe got away from him earlier on. This could have been a good deal closer. Now as Chua hasn't played his best today, and it's perhaps the biggest frustration of all that he's not made that count. Queuing off the rail, always testing on the 9. You'd back him to make this. And it is indeed 2 in a row for Putnik. Chua now leading 8-3. Tyler Starr's pulled away a bit. He now leads 4-1 against Wen Can Huang. Roberto Gomez, experienced player from the Philippines, with a 4-3 lead over Trong Dai Tung. Fitamaradinaj just in front of Chang Pei Wei at 5-4. Staff Alnar has had so many notable results over the last couple of years, leading 5-3 against Fu Quang Hai. Michael Feliciano just a couple away now, 7-3 lead over Tran Van Kien, and Billy Thorpe just edging it at the moment against Sai Cheng Ta. That one is 6-5 in favour of the American. Just a reminder that Aloysius Yap, who has been the standout player of the year so far, no question about that, he will be next up on the main table. But Putnik, at the moment, seems determined to make him wait a bit longer. He's won 2 in a row. He's breaking at 8-3 down.
Best break off by far, and he's got a long distance shot on the 3, but a nice one to get going. Always been one that kind of stays down over the ball a bit longer than most. It's almost like he's, you know, when he first gets down on the ball, there's all kinds of little movement going on with the bridge hand, the backhand's kind of settling in, and then as every pre-stroke's delivered, he starts to get more solid over the ball, moving forward into the striking position.
Showing us a bit more of what he's capable of in the last couple of racks. You wonder if he'd kept his head a bit better from the start. What kind of a contest he might have made of it here. It's only going to add to the frustration he's felt throughout the match. And again, he's looking around straight away. It's almost like he's looking for something else to point to as the reason he missed it.
Yeah, I was really shocked he got into the cue ball that much. I thought he would just kind of lay up for the 6. He came across trying to get close to it. I think that's what tightened the pocket. Of course, it wasn't the best hit on the purple 5, but he made the margin for error much slimmer with the choice how he attacked. This needs to slow down a little bit. Gonna get a little thin. No one handles the thin ones any better than Johan Chua, but still, though, he wants to get this match over with.
As we watch this World Cup winner here, Jeremy, we really need to have a word today about another World Cup winner of the past, Mika Immonen, and the terrible, terrible news of just a few days ago, really. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, about a week ago, actually. Sad to lose him. I mean, he had a battle, with cancer, and it was just saddened the entire pool world, and really hard to come with words other than, he meant a lot to many people, and I was lucky enough to have a lot of battles with him, and he's going to truly be missed, I'll tell you.
And he's someone who will be remembered as one of the greats, really, of recent times. He won it all. Oh, absolutely, and the style he won in was something that I think will be as remembered as the titles he won. A 2-time U.S. Open champion, I believe 2-time World 9-Ball champion, many-time Mosconi Cup winner. Pretty much every type of event you could ever think of, he's won it. And again, way too young, and I believe it was 52 years old, and he had a tough battle, and he fought hard, and he's going to be dearly missed. Been a tough year in that regard. He's lost a couple of them too young. Yeah, took the words out of my mouth. It's been a year of real loss for the game. Back in the present day, this one is just fizzling out really at the end. Ivica Putnik did manage to get a couple back. He's going to go down to defeat here. It's hot and sticky here in Hanoi, and both players looked hot and bothered at times and very frustrated. Chua will have to play a lot better than that, you would feel, if he's going to have any chance at all of a successful Hanoi Open title defence. But early on, it's all about getting the win, and that's what he's done. Chua comes through by 9 racks to 3. So Aloysius Yap, another Asian player, and very much the player of 2025 so far, will be next up on the main table in a few minutes' time.
He's the king of the night.
Now it's time to bring the world to me. Team Asia, the team carrying the name. We take on the throne for every corner of globe. This is more than the yacht. It's about pride, honor, and the spirit of Asia. Are you ready to face us?
This is what being a pool player is all about. This will just add to the tension.
Last chances at this stage. The moments you work for, the moments you wish for, and the biggest moment of all feels so imminent now.
All over the years we've seen some extraordinary fights. Keep it up, boys, keep it up. This is what we like to see.
For the first time, Asia's Major has fought for one of Asia's finest. Hanoi Open champion!
To the action here in Hanoi for this year's third edition of the tournament. That's the arena. Beautiful setting. If you've missed the action, we've just seen defending champion win his first round match. In the end, pretty easy. Up next, we've got Aloysius Yap against Win Bao Chao. Quite interesting. About 12 months ago at the Perry Open, Win Bao Chao actually beat Johan Chua in the early rounds. So he's clearly got some sort of pedigree. Just like my co-commentator for this match, Scott Frost, first time in Vietnam, in Hanoi. How are we finding it? Even though we've started a day late, glad to be up and running.
Yeah, we got struck by a typhoon, but I'll tell you what, this place here is fabulous. It is an awe-struck venue for me. It is massive, and what a great place. I've never been. 3 years on the trot, and I got to come, so I'm excited to be here. Excited to call this match. Aloysius Yap, obviously one of the favorites to win this event, Carl, along with many others. There's so many great players here.
Yeah, the inaugural winner, Jason Shaw. What a lineup we've got here on. It's actually day number 1, even though it says day 2. As we've just said, we've started a day late due to typhoon. Nah. Scott, you told me about the typhoon that it was coming. I didn't really believe you, but boy, what a storm we had.
Nobody ever listens. They believe me now, and it's you know, it has passed, which is a great thing. Everybody's safe. It was pretty scary for a day or so. Things got a little dark, but now the sun is coming out. Everybody's starting to really get excited, including us.
Yeah, of course, the bosses at the World 9 Ball Tour did the right thing, postponing play. Who'd have thought it rained, stopping play. You think you've seen it all in the pool world, but there's always something that kind of comes along. I think players are just having their practice rack. Let's just have a quick word about Aloysius Yap. He's won the last 3 Open events on the spin. Scott, you've played in many pool tournaments. Just sum up the feat and the run that Yap is on. It's incredible.
Tell you what, we've talked to him a lot on and off court, right? And he winning the UK Open, then following it up with the Florida Open, then obviously the US Open, beating Gorst in the final. What he's done is nothing short of spectacular, but it's not a surprise anymore, right? We continue to watch him play, and his consistency is just through the roof. He is solid, his mindset, and he seems to flow very, very well. Something different than Federer Gorst, which I am a huge Gorst fan, but I think Federer slaves a little bit more over the ball. This is just his style, whereas Yap has a lot more gas in the tank as far as just kind of flowing. I think that's what makes him a little extra special. I wouldn't be surprised to see him take this one as well, Carl.
Yeah, that would be 4 Open events on the spin, which we've seen some remarkable things since the World 9 Ball Tour was set up a few years ago. Obviously, Federer Gorst, man, we've just been speaking about, he's been on his own little crazy history-making run, but just to win one of these in a year is not easy. But just to think that he's on a run of 3. Obviously, we had the World Championships in between, but that is not what we call an Open event. So he's won the UK Open, the Florida Open, and the big one, the US Open. Simply unbelievable. And I think we're just a few minutes away from starting. Sometimes can get off to a little bit of a slow start out the gate, which is understandable.
Take a look at the arena, though. This is just mad. If you're here in person, it's awe-inspiring. It's massive. It's massive. These curtains that are all lit up. It's just a great look. Jason Shaw walking past us here now. Well, I'll tell you what, Carl, you and I are pretty close to Jason. I constantly forget to mention him. I had my top 5 pick the other night. You had your top 5 pick. Yours kind of struck me a little odd. Mine was a little more on track in my opinion, but that's my opinion. Jason Shaw is definitely one to look for this week.
Yeah, you certainly played it safe, picking the top 5 ranked players in the world. I went a little left field. I went for someone.
What happened, Carl?
I went for some undercover players. You know, I was having a little bit of fun. He was trying to put me off my my routine as well in the background. But we will see. Obviously, this event is now going to be played over 5 days, not the usual 6. So we have, how many practice tables we've got behind us? We've got 5 or 6, and we're actually using them for matches just to catch up, because you can imagine how many matches we have to get through here. 256 players starting out, playing double elimination through to the final 64, and that is when the tournament really gets alive. Don't know much about this fella, so we do apologise, but we do know, after a bit of digging late last night, the early hours, me and Scott, that he has beat Johan Chua 12 months ago at the Perry Open, so he knows how to pop the balls.
Yeah, he looks like he strikes the ball quite well. Nice left-handed player from what it's looking like so far, in my opinion. He's got the capabilities. Obviously, there's a lot of Vietnamese players that we don't really know. Final 2 balls of the US Open that we just
to win, and kind of got to the stage where about 5 or 6 racks left in that match. It was going to be a case of who fell over the line.
such a nice guy, this guy here, Aloysius Yap. I just had the pleasure of doing a little interview on a podcast that I have, and what a class act young man. I am a huge fan of Aloysius Yap, and the more you get to know him as a fan, the more you're going to like him.
Is the podcast with Yap out yet, or is it due out, Scott?
No, it's the Boom and Freezer show, and it comes out next Monday, Carl. Thank you for asking. It's a lot of fun, and grateful to have you, people like yourself, and a lot of other great players on as well. The fans are already piling in, and it's early. On realistically day number 2, but it's day number 1 in play.
Yeah, that was Niat, who's a very tidy player, and he owns about 12 or 13 pool halls just in Hanoi alone. Last year I went to a couple of them, real nice pool rooms. Obviously, Scott, you've not managed to get out of the hotel just yet because of the weather, but this week we're going to have to go and visit a few. I mean, listen, in America, some of the greatest pool rooms in the world, but you can very much say the same for Vietnam, some beautiful pool rooms. I think we are about ready to start. Yap's waiting for his opponent. Race to 9, winner break action, and it will be a battle of 2 lefties. And we know what the lefties are like in Q Sports. They seem to, I don't know why, just seem to be like such natural potters of the ball. You're a lefty, Scott. You was a decent potter 20 years ago.
Yeah, maybe more than that, but oddly enough, it is like that, right? It just seems like left-handed players seem to come from a little bit more of a natural background, maybe a less working background as far as it's concerned.